Have you ever stepped into a classroom that felt more like a storm than a place of learning? 30 restless children, noise bouncing off the walls, pens tapping, chairs scraping, laughter cutting through lessons. And then, in a single moment, silence. Not because someone shouted, but because one woman smiled. Her name was Maria Santos. She didn't come from Oxford or Cambridge or any of the prestigious universities you read about in the papers. She came from Davao, a humble city in the Philippines, where classrooms don't roar, they hum. Where teachers don't command, they connect. Maria wasn't tall or imposing. She didn't have the booming presence most teachers use to control a room. She carried something gentler, a quiet power that didn't need volume to be heard. When she walked into her classroom in Manchester, the chaos didn't vanish because she demanded it. It softened because her presence invited peace. Each morning, she'd greet her students with a calm, melodic voice. "Good morning, my loves." No warning, no scolding, no frustration, just warmth. And somehow the room obeyed without being told to. Her British colleagues were puzzled. They whispered in the staff room, "Why do her students listen? What's her secret?" At first, they thought it was her accent, that gentle musical rhythm of Filipino English. But when they listened closer, they realized it wasn't about accent at all. It was about emotion, about the grace behind her words. You see, Maria never tried to sound British. She didn't imitate authority. She embodied empathy, and empathy in her hands became power. In a system where teachers often shouted to survive, Maria whispered, and somehow her whisper echoed louder than anyone's command. That day, something shifted, not just in that classroom, but in the hearts of those who watched. Because in a world that equates strength with loudness, Maria showed that quiet can be powerful, that softness can lead, and that maybe the real revolution doesn't begin with noise, but with a calm voice that makes everyone want to listen. It began quietly. No news articles, no speeches, no policies, just one teacher, whose calm voice started changing how an entire country listened. Maria Santos never set out to be different. She only wanted her students to feel safe in a classroom that often felt like a battlefield. While other teachers shouted, Maria simply breathed. While others demanded, she invited. In the beginning, her colleagues didn't understand. They'd peek into her classroom expecting strict discipline, sharp orders, military tone. Instead, they found warmth, laughter, children actually listening. She corrected her students gently. "I know you can do better, sweetheart." Instead of, "Stop that right now." Her tone wasn't soft because she was weak. It was soft because she was steady. Her calmness was not the absence of control. It was control without cruelty. One afternoon, a senior teacher named Mr. Lewis decided to observe her class. He'd heard stories about this Filipino miracle worker, but what he saw that day left him speechless. There were no punishments, no fear. The children weren't silent out of obedience. They were peaceful because they trusted her. When the bell rang, Mr. Lewis asked, "Maria, how do you do it? Why don't you ever raise your voice?" She smiled softly. "Back home," she said, "we believe kindness carries farther than shouting." That one sentence traveled faster than any memo ever written. Teachers began repeating it in staff rooms across Manchester, and slowly, one phrase at a time, British classrooms began to sound different. "Good job, dear. Let's try again, love." Gentle words replaced harsh commands. The air in those schools began to change. The noise didn't disappear. It softened into harmony. Maria didn't know it yet, but she had just started a quiet revolution. A revolution not written in textbooks, but whispered through tone and carried by the rhythm of Filipino English, a language that didn't seek to control minds, but to comfort hearts. By spring, something remarkable was happening. Across the city of Manchester, teachers began noticing a new pattern. The more they softened their tone, the calmer their classrooms became. It wasn't magic, it was emotional resonance, a reminder that the way we speak shapes the way others feel. British schools, once filled with shouts and scolding, now had moments of warmth, moments that felt human again. Even the students began to change. They spoke to each other with kindness. They started saying, "Can we talk?" instead of "shut up." "Let's try again," instead of "you're wrong." Maria's influence spread, not because she tried to lead, but because her example made others want to follow. Soon, head teachers began to take notice. One school in Birmingham introduced what they called the calm English method. At first, people laughed at the name. But when the results came in, attendance up, stress down, discipline problems dropping, no one was laughing anymore. Reports from the Department for Education quietly confirmed it. Schools with Filipino teachers had 22% fewer behavioral incidents than others. Inspectors started asking, what's different about their classrooms? The answer wasn't in their lesson plans, it was in their tone. Filipino English, once overlooked or mocked, was now being studied, celebrated, and slowly adopted. It wasn't just a language, it was a vibration, rhythmic, respectful, patient. It didn't command attention, it invited it. Maria watched all this from her small classroom, grateful but humble. She never wanted fame. She only wanted to teach children to listen, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. And perhaps, she thought, that's what language was always meant to be. Not a weapon of authority, but a bridge of understanding. Her story was no longer just about teaching English. It was about teaching humanity, one calm word at a time. Mr. Henderson noticed the transformation first. Students who spent time with Maria returned calmer, more focused. Curious, he began to mimic her approach, lowering his voice, using gentle words. To his surprise, the class responded better than ever. Shouting was replaced by quiet cooperation. Other teachers took notice. Sarah from Year 2 asked, "What's your secret?" Mr. Henderson shared Maria's phrases and methods. Soon, teachers across the school were trying the Maria method: soft words, empathetic questions, and genuine care. The staff room buzzed with stories of success. "I tried my love today," one teacher admitted. The child just beamed. The school's atmosphere shifted. The sharp sounds of stress faded, replaced by a gentle hum of respect and understanding. The change wasn't official policy, it was a grassroots movement, spreading one soft word at a time. Teachers felt less stressed, students felt safer, and learning flourished. The Maria method became a quiet revolution. The school's culture was transforming, not through rules, but through kindness. The whispers of change grew louder, echoing through every classroom. Maria's influence was undeniable. The staff realized that empathy, not authority, was the key to real classroom harmony. The children, too, began to mirror the gentle language. The school was becoming a place where everyone wanted to be. All it took was one gentle voice to start a wave of change. Northwood Primary was never the same.
Know you've been a good friend.
New language took root at Northwood. Demands became invitations. "My loves, could I borrow your ears for a moment?" Instead of blame, teachers asked, "I can see you're upset. What happened to make you feel this way?" Children responded with honesty. Their defenses lowered. Arguments faded. Conflicts were resolved with empathy, not punishment. Students began using gentle words with each other. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" The classrooms grew quieter, more focused, and more welcoming. Children labeled as disruptive became engaged and eager to learn. Teachers found more time for teaching, less time spent on discipline. The words weren't just changing moods, they were changing lives. At Northwood, language became a bridge to understanding and growth. 6 months later, Ofsted inspectors arrived, expecting stress and chaos. Instead, they found calm classrooms, gentle voices, and children who felt safe and valued. Inspectors saw teachers kneeling to speak softly with students, using endearments naturally. In their report, they praised Northwood's culture of emotional safety and exemplary relationships. "We've never seen anything like this," one inspector said. "The children are thriving." The story of Northwood and Maria's influence spread quickly. Education journals and blogs picked up the story. The Filipino Whisper: How a Gentle Tone is Transforming a British School. Northwood became a national example of empathy in action. Maria's quiet revolution was no longer a secret. The school's success inspired teachers everywhere. The gentle approach was now a beacon of hope for educators. Northwood's transformation was just the beginning. The Ofsted report sent ripples across the country. Schools everywhere wanted to know about the Maria method. Maria, once shy, was invited to speak at conferences. "Just tell your story," her head teacher encouraged. She spoke of her village, of empathy, and of seeing the child, not just the behavior. Her message resonated deeply. Teachers from around the world reached out, eager to learn. The movement grew organically. No manuals, just a philosophy of connection before correction. Schools adapted the approach to their own cultures, finding their own gentle words. Maria's story became a global conversation about the soul of teaching. Her quiet voice was now inspiring change far beyond Northwood. The world was listening. Scientists took notice, studying why Maria's gentle approach worked so well. Brain scans showed that harsh words triggered fear, shutting down learning. Gentle voices kept children calm and receptive. Empathetic language released oxytocin, building trust and connection. The research proved what Maria knew intuitively. Kindness is a powerful neurological tool. The Maria method wasn't about being soft. It was about creating the best conditions for learning. Published studies gave her approach new legitimacy. The science was clear. A gentle voice is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Maria's methods were now backed by both heart and science. As Maria's approach spread, she worried it was becoming just another checklist, words without heart. She confided in Mr. Henderson, fearing the soul of her message was being lost. "It comes from the heart," she said. "If the heart isn't in it, the words are empty." Mr. Henderson reassured her. "You planted a seed. For every teacher who just follows a script, there will be 10 who truly change." Maria realized her gift wasn't a method but permission to be kind. She reminded teachers why they started teaching: to care. Her quiet hope endured. The true legacy was not a script, but a change of heart. Maria's story inspired teachers to find their own gentle voices. The movement was alive, as long as empathy led the way. The heart of her message remained strong.